I'm interested to get back to home and after the most exhausting journeys, standing on the way to London on the train, standing on the way back, I'm genuinely shattered, and uh, it's it, it it's quite irritating to come back to a comment. I made a video this morning about Kemi Badenoch's ability to upset people. Now she's upset the Vice President of Nigeria. And Purple Haze writes, barely concealed racist rants by the prof and throughout the comments. Well, I'm not aware of any racist rants that I have projected in any way. In fact, I stand very firmly against racism, and I infiltrated UKIP with the intention of finding out whether or not there was racism in UKIP. There was. I called it out. I teamed up with Humza Yusuf, against whom there was a racist joke by a man called David Coburn. The point is, somebody can say, well, it's just a joke, which is what Farage said, and he doesn't get it. Racism often emerges as just a joke because people don't realise it's so offensive. Racism is not about the intention of the person who is making the racist comment. It's about the way it is understood. And I'm certainly not aware that I've made any racist comments about Kemi Badenoch. I have criticised Kemi Badenoch, and that's not because of her race. And I am entirely sympathetic to the concerns raised by the Vice President of Nigeria, not because I'm racist. It becomes absurd if you can't criticise a particularly lazy and ineffective leader of the opposition simply because of the fear that one might be called racist. It's not racist to criticise somebody who's not doing their job well. There is racism, however, in Parliament, and so it's a very useful springboard onto into the issues of, for example, the recent suspension of Baroness Catherine Mayer from the House of Lords, which underscores both the persistence of inappropriate behaviour and the steps that are needed to address it. And Baroness Mayer's conduct during a parliamentary trip to Rwanda, for example, resulted in accusations of racial harassment. And referring to Lord Dolakia, a senior peer of South Asian heritage, as Lord Poppadom, touching Labour MP Bel Ribeiro Adi's braids without consent. This is often described as microaggression, but it's belittling somebody else simply because of their race, and it's about a failure to respect people from minority backgrounds. And such actions are not only offensive, but they reinforce stereotypes and power dynamics that demean the dignity of an individual. The Lord Poppadom remark was used twice in a taxi, according to witnesses, despite Mayer initially denying the claims. And Lord Dolakia, though not immediately aware of the slur, later expressed feeling shocked and uncomfortable, leading him to withdraw from the committee. And the term's racial connotations exemplify it's about casual racism, trivializing an individual's heritage under the guise of humour or familiarity. And that's the problem. And Mayer lifted one of Ribeiro Adi's braids without awaiting consent, later justifying it as a friendly gesture. Well, such an act disregards personal boundaries, particularly in the context of a black woman's hair, a sensitive subject tied to identity, historical discrimination. And Ribeiro Adi's statement revealed lasting distress, highlighting the emotional toll of repeated microaggressions. And the Lord's Conduct Committee determined that that while Mayer's actions didn't constitute bullying, they amounted to racial harassment. And there's a 3-week suspension now. It acknowledges wrongdoing, and it sets a precedent and then there's going to be some behaviour training. But the real problem is the fact that there still seems to be this underlying assumption, on the one hand, that racism is about intention, and on the other hand, that that somebody who is from a somebody who is a person of colour, let's say, as Kemi Badenoch is, that she is beyond criticism because of her race. Yes, her race should not be an issue. Her race is not an issue, as far as I know. What is an issue is her competence, and that I would as gladly make about Boris Johnson as about Liz Truss and others. It is about competence, not race, not gender, competence. And if one's not in a position to say that, or if in some way that seems, what I find so extraordinary is that somebody should suggest that there is a racist rant against whom? Against Nigeria? Well, that's not me. Or against Kemi Badenoch? Well, I'm criticising her for precisely because of the criticism that has been levelled against her by the Nigerian Vice President. I find the charge extraordinary, and it's a sort of it's a sort of the internet is full of this, and YouTube, of course, is full of this. Is these sort of little taps of half intended sentences. There's a lot from the bots, I suppose, and then there are others. And if somebody wishes to set themselves up as the leader of the opposition or the prime minister, then they must accept that they will invite criticism, as indeed, when necessary, they will also invite praise from me. If they do something which is praiseworthy, if they don't, if they do something which is worthy of scorn, they will get scorn.